I'm here with Mike McHargue, better known as Science Mike, who is an author, podcaster, and speaker who travels the world helping people understand the science of life's most profound and mundane experiences. His best-selling debut book, Finding God in the Waves, has helped thousands to understand faith in the 21st century. Mike is the author of Ask Science Mike and co-hosts the Liturgist podcast with his friend Michael Gungor. Thank you, Mike, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about writing itself? What you think is the most difficult part of writing that you find? Do you have a writing schedule? Many of our audience members are people who are relatively new within the field of writing. So I think, getting kind of your experience would be helpful.
Sure. I think for me, the hardest part of writing is brevity. I'm a very verbose person. And when I'm on stage and I start to tell a yarn, I have real-time feedback from people's eyeballs about how interesting that story is and what parts I should talk about more or less, whether when I'm using technical descriptions for complicated concepts, if I'm losing them or not, their faces, their body language tell me the story. But in writing, I never know. I don't know what's helpful or interesting. And so I tend to just include everything and rely on editors to help me tighten that down. And what I'm trying to learn to do as an author, I have a tendency to either write very, very verbose, over long form documents, or write things with so much punch that it comes out staccato. And I'm trying to learn to walk the middle of those two roads. And it's very hard. I'm the rare breed. I'm an extrovert writer. So I like being around people. I like talking to people. And I have to deal a little bit with the chaos of my own mind when I write because I don't get to externalize all of my experiences. But in terms of how I get writing done and how I try to write well, is I have a very, very regimented and strict writing schedule. There's a quote I love that depending on where you look, it's attributed to different people. So I'm going to say that it's probably an author unknown kind of quote, but it says, I only write when I'm inspired. Fortunately, I'm inspired every morning at 9 o'clock. And that's very, very true about me. I kind of get up, take a shower, have coffee, eat breakfast with my family, and then it's straight to the computer for the part of the day when I'm most awake and inspired. I turn my cell phone off. I turn all the apps on my computer off, and it's nothing but writing and composing for the first 3 to 4 hours every day. And that means I can usually net a pretty consistent 1,500 to 3,000 words every day by making sure I don't let anything creep into that time. No calls, no social media. I don't read the news. All that happens later in the day when I'm done writing.
Well, that's really a great, impressive discipline, and it sounds like it's paid off very well for you.
And when I was working full time, I still did that. I just started at 5 a.m. So I would write for a couple hours before I went to work. So people will say, well, that's great for you now that you're a full-time writer and author and podcaster. But the way I did that was to always start my day with that work. And doing that and having that discipline created the space for writing to become my career.
That's really awesome. You're to be admired for your discipline. There's no question.